Diane from Teach Pre-K, and today I wanted to talk about a classroom management problem that people don't talk about much. I feel like it's the reality that we face on almost a daily basis. But what I want to talk about is when one child or two or three um, tend to set the tone for the whole class and not in a good way. I'm dealing with this situation with my pre kindergarten class. I have a pre K class, which is my four and fives, that comes 4 afternoons a week, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday mornings. And we have 16 kids in that class. I have had 18 kids. But after COVID, we requested to do 12 and 14, and they said 14 and 16. So at least I got it shaved a little bit because my room is really small. And 16 4-year-olds in a small space, it's a lot, and it can be an overstimulating environment. You've got a lot of kids, a lot of chatter, a lot of laughing because they are having fun. They're doing different activities, sometimes independently, sometimes in a whole group setting and with the teacher. So it's really easy, excuse me, for that class, because of its size and our limited space and the size of the kids, that if there are one or two or three kids that can kind of rile up the whole class, it can take everything down. And right now, I have one child in particular who has some behavior issues. Even though I can't diagnose it, I'm pretty sure there's some ADHD there, and he gets overstimulated and will run circles so fast, and his heart starts beating so fast. And of course, I don't have running in my classroom. It's not safe. I've had kids run in my classroom, trip, hit their head, and end up with stitches or going to the hospital. So I'm pretty strict about walking feet only in the classroom. We can run when we're outside, but we've got to use those walking feet. It's so everyone stays safe in the classroom. He's also a very large child. He's just super tall, and he's a big kid. Not overweight or anything. He's just solid and he's strong. He has had some trauma in his life, and some family trauma that I think has made it so he isn't parented in a way that has very many boundaries or consequences to actions or limits placed. And so I've been working with the mom on that end to just, give her some suggestions, books to read, things that I do in the class that might help at home, etc., etc. And she's lovely and wonderful and receptive. And this kid, when he's not overstimulated, he's also he's got more oppositional, defiant characteristics than any other kid I've ever had in my 15 years of teaching. So, we've got a lot to work with. But I'm getting to a point where I'm seeing a breakdown of the behavior of the other kids in the class. My aide she's around 50. I'm 58. We both are parents of children. She's still got a senior in high school and one halfway through college. And I have two that have graduated from college, one married, one about to get married. So we've been parents for a long time. She was my daughter's favorite teacher. So she's been a teacher. I'm a teacher. So together we have over 20 years of teaching experience between us, plus raising kids and being around a lot of children. And I'm not saying that makes us experts on anything by, any stretch of the imagination, but we know what we're doing, and we're able to tackle some issues and overcome some issues of, impulse control and, your average run of the mill preschool behavior issues. We know that we don't expect perfection at all. We just, we're guiding these kids and trying to help them know how to behave in school and how to socialize with other children and adults, so that their school experience from this time forward is just easier and makes more sense because they have a firm foundation with us. So this one kid who is as cute as can be, and I absolutely love him. When he's sweet, he's the sweetest child, but there's a lot of rage, and he will get inches away from other children's faces and growl at them or say things that are mean. I think that there's a lot of unsupervised TV watching or screen time, because he says things and talks about things that are kind of terrifying and beyond what a average 4-year-old usually knows about and talks about. So I know there's a lot going on in his life. He has a morning nanny, afternoon nanny, mom, a single mom, works really, really hard, has a really high-powered, high-stress job, lots of money to help take care of his issues, so that's not a factor. But he is starting to take our entire class down. The other kids see him misbehaving and they feel like they can do the same thing, even though up to a certain point they were all doing what they should be doing, 80-90% of the time. But now when he gets really overstimulated and is like crawling circles on the rug or running circles on the rug or rolling around and doing, spastic movements or raging or throwing chairs, using his arm and sweeping toys off tables so that they become projectiles. And the other kids know that we can't control all of it because we don't know when it's going to happen. It's really volatile and unpredictable. There's a lot of running out of the room and one of us having to go get him. And sometimes there is only two of us. We have a floating aid, but we kind of share her with the other classroom. And sometimes I have to go to the other classroom and just say, hey, I need someone down in my room. I've got to go find this child. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. We have had one meeting with the principal and the mom, and we discussed him having his own aide, which I've had in my classroom with a child that was severely autistic, but his family wanted him around just typical children, and so he had to have an aide at all times. I actually had him for 2 years in a row because there was a little bit of a bond between the two of us, and they felt more comfortable having him with me, and I'm okay with that. So I've done that type of situation before, and she's willing to pay for that. And I said, okay, before we do that, let's try this. You do, start putting more limits and boundaries on him at home. We get on the same page with our verbiage and how we're handling situations, and with us tag teaming and the two nannies doing the same thing, we're going to see some positive results, and we may not need that. And I have to say, he has improved incrementally. And I have had, since the start of the year, I've had 2 days with him that I could consider good days. But we started halfway through August, and I'm now first week of November is finished. So, not the best track record, but it was about a month ago, 5 weeks ago, when we had our talk with the mom. And I've had a few explosions. We're still getting the in the face with the other kids and hitting and leaving the classroom, running out, hiding under tables, and the rage if things don't go exactly his way. He has targeted one particular child who is actually the daughter of a teacher at our school, and it's hard. I feel like I need to protect her all the time. There's a level of tension in the classroom because the kids don't know when an explosion's going to happen. I don't know when an explosion's going to happen. We can't be with all the kids at all times, so sometimes things do happen where we have to abandon, a small group center and go take care of something in one of the free centers that will usually involve him. He looped another boy into going into our dramatic play area, and I just saw stuff flying and on the ground, and I had to kick them both out of there because when I went to that center, it was like, we're destroying everything. Oh, so it's a lot. And I consider myself to be someone really good at classroom management. But I have days where this one child will kind of get the energy of everybody up so high, and things just go off the rails, and it's hard to get it back on. I had a day this week where I had one child. Her mom had to drop her off late because she had some tests at the hospital that they had to run, and just probably a very exhausting morning for her. And she never drops off well with her mother anyway. She does with her dad, but not her mom. And she was just crying. My aide went to see if she could facilitate the transferring into the classroom. She was unable to do it. So my aide had to take over circle time from me. I had to go get this child. Principal comes out, sees me with this child. I'm carrying her, screaming down the stairs. But I'm like, I got this. I know I can work through this. The floating aide did come down to my room because she heard what was happening. It was so loud. I finally get that child able to come into our classroom. So that's been a huge disruption. And it kind of opens this window for this other child to go, I can really wreak havoc now. Because he's a smart kid. And so the day just kind of went from bad to worse, with the two of us struggling to maintain any kind of control, really, until we were able to break and go outside and let them run around and be nuts, and then get into our classroom again for the end of the day, where we were able to manage that a lot more effectively. But I think we all know that it is quite possible for one or two kids to bring this house of cards down. And there are people who set ratios of, student teacher ratios that really don't have any idea what we go through, and how things can be on a daily basis if you do have, an outlier child with a super erratic behavior that can become super volatile and frightening for the other children. And when we've had to physically restrain this child, and he's, like I said, he's big. I'm 5'3", 125 pounds, and my aide is about the exact same as I am. We're not big women. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. So, I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if you have this happening in your classroom you're not alone. There are lots of us out there. And yes, we always have to reevaluate what we're doing in our classrooms and how we're doing it in our classrooms. But sometimes we have to make some really tough choices regarding the children that can be in our classrooms and can matriculate to the next level. And I just want you to know that, yes, I called a meeting with the mom and my principal the first time I had to take this child up to her office, and I had to say, it's getting scary down in my classroom. Things have become projectiles, and this isn't safe. I can't have him in my classroom. I had to do the same thing again yesterday, and he had to get sent home early. I haven't checked yet with my aide to see how today was, because today is a day I don't work. But, hopefully I didn't hear from her, so I'm guessing it was okay or manageable at least. Fridays usually are. It's morning. We get them when they're fresh. And it just tends to be an easier day all around anyway, historically. So hopefully it was easier for her. I was supposed to have a meeting with the mother yesterday, the day I had to take him up to the principal, and with my principal. And here's this thing about me. If I have to call a meeting with a parent, things are rough. If I have to call a meeting with the parent and the principal, that's my way of saying this is above my pay grade, and I don't know if this child should be with this other group of students. I work at a private school. These parents are paying a lot of money for this preschool experience that right now, if I knew what was going on in my classroom and I was one of these parents, I would say, hold the phone. This is not a good situation. And I have to admit that to myself, and I have to go into a meeting now, which has been postponed until maybe Monday. Haven't heard back from the mom yet. But now I have this situation where I have no choice but to say, this is not something that is safe for the other children. We might need to find another option. I hope they choose him having an aide in my classroom, because I think he needs to be in a room with other kids who do know how to behave and follow the rules, because these kids do, and they have shown me that time and time again. He has not shown me that at all but 2 days, which still had their rough moments, but I don't expect perfection. So I'm walking into this meeting, and it's not going to be good news. It's not going to be easy. I do have to say, I can't do this, because I can't. My aide and I talk about it over and over. Even the days when there's 3 of us in the classroom, it's still very difficult. So my reason for doing this video is just to be like super open and honest with you all. But I want to give you guys an out too. If you're in a situation that is so hard, and you give your best efforts and you give 100%, and you are being a parent coach, and you are being, a teacher's coach with the other teachers you teach with, because they have to deal with this child on the playground and in my classroom, and you recognize these behaviors as being atypical and things that you haven't seen before, you can say, this is too much for me. I need help. I need help. I do want to say that since the meeting with the principal the first time, let's say 5 weeks ago, things have gotten incrementally better, but very, very small increments, right? I do work in a private school, so we do have the option of saying, look, this isn't the right place for your child right now. They need more help than we can give. We can say that. I do hope that by listening to me and you guys, like, I have, like, I always tell people, because I'll have people come in and work with me, like subs, former parents or teachers, from upper grades, or, the old school secretary, and they just come in and they go, people don't know what you guys do. They do not know the things you handle. They do not fully understand how hard this job is. And that's just a given, and that's fine. And that's like with a typical class. It's like when you have something happening that you know is atypical and beyond your scope and talents, and you do need help, you need to be able to say that. That's really, really important. And to me personally, I think that's part of being a good teacher. I need to be not just a good teacher for that one student that is causing some problems for me right now, but for the 15 other students that are in that classroom and their parents that need me to be the teacher that they know me to be, and to get their kids onto kindergarten. Part of being a good teacher is to say, I can't do this. And I don't know if you guys watch Abbott Elementary, but there was an episode, I think it's in the second season, where they give, the tough guy, seasoned teacher, that's me. They give her a split grade class, and it's like 37 students or 42 students or something. And she's like, oh yeah, I got this. I can make this work. And then she realizes she can't. And she has to admit that, and that's part of being a good teacher. And that just resonated with me, because I'm like, that is me. Yeah, I am the seasoned tough guy with all the patience in the world and all the tricks up the sleeve that you could imagine. And I'm having to say, this is too hard for me. I can't do this. You can give it to the other teacher, but she will tell you right now from what she's seen, she can't do it either. Because believe me, I have gone to her for help. She used to be my aide, and she's a fabulous teacher. And we really help each other out. When either of us are having a situation, we'll always go, hey, what would you do here? What would you do in this situation? What would you do in that situation? And I think that makes a really good team. We are a really good team. Her aide is this fabulous teacher that has a master's degree, and I go to her and I'm like, is there anything that you can see, that I can do better or change? And she's like, I got nothing. So yes, reach out to other teachers. Yes, reach out to your administration, tell them what you can handle. But I do have to mention, and I keep going off this when I get there, is it's been 5 weeks. No one has come down to my room and observed. No one. No one in my school. Nope. Nada. That's hard for me to take, because it's a big deal for me to request a meeting with the principal and the parents. That's a huge deal. That means it's really bad. No one has observed. And my principal did tell me that she ran into the parent, and she goes, well, the times I've popped down, she's never popped down during that class time. Never. She might have come in and dropped something in my room that she needed me to have and turned around and walked right out. There's this problem when you teach in like a toddler through 8th grade school, or with, going up through elementary, maybe 5th grade, 6th grade. The admin is like, I don't know anything about early childhood, and they don't, but they know about kids, they know about teachers. We still need their help. And a lot of times we get neglected because they feel out of their depth. And I get it. They are out of their depth. But she's out of her depth. I'm coming to her saying, I'm out of mine. Help. And I will also mention that the floater aid that we do have was considered not in the budget. And we weren't going to have one until we explained why it's 100% necessary, because we are isolated. We are in a basement portion of the building with nobody around to help us if we need help. I had a child almost choke and die in my classroom one year. And luckily I was able to save that child, but it was really touch and go. I was severely traumatized by that incident. I did not think I was going to be able to save this child. Someone had to run upstairs and get someone for me and call 911 and let me know people were on their way. And I had to shake this kid violently by their feet and dig my hand in there and do everything I could as I watched them turn blue. So it's not safe, and it's the way our school's set up. We cannot function without that floating aid. But nobody came and talked to us before they decided to cut the position either. So that's a really sore point with me. I do love our administration, and I do think that they do have our best interests at heart. I just think they have a lot on their plate as well. And because we're all good at our jobs in the basement, we get overlooked a lot. But you can't overlook a teacher that's coming to you with a problem this big. So, my meeting that I have with the principal and the mom on Monday, there might be a little, throwing her under the bus a little bit, because it might need to happen in order for us to get what we need. And I hate that. But I am going to be 100% honest. And if the mother brings anything up to the principal about her coming in and observing, I'm going to say she's not spent any amount of time in my class that I would consider an observation of this situation. So I'm not going under the bus is all I know. That's all I know. But please, 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 if you are going through a situation that is similar, trust your gut and know that part of being a good teacher is to finally say, I can't do this. This is too much for me. So a little somber, but I hope this will give you guys the guts to approach a situation similar differently and to look after yourself.